What's up? My name is MAK, and I'm here to answer some questions with sounds of the future.
I love you, 508.
Yeah, so I'm a pop artist, originally from Connecticut, live in Brooklyn, New York. And yeah, I make futuristic pop music. I like to blend different genres together and see what I can come up with. I didn't become an artist until a little bit later in life. I did music and sports when I was growing up, but pursued football in college. And actually, once I was working, one of my best friends who's a producer came and started making some beats, and he asked me to put some vocals down. And once I heard my voice through a recording microphone, I was kind of hooked. And so from there, I went Guitar Center, set up a home studio, wrote songs for a year, and I decided to pursue it full time. Yeah, no, I mean, I grew up an hour outside of the cities, so New York was always on my doorstep. And I went to school in Philly at UPenn. And once school was over, I went to London for 2 years and worked over there. And I always knew I would come back to New York. It was my dream to work in New York and see what happened in the big city. Now, I think that a special thing about music is that it's a universal language. So regardless of what language it's in, everybody can understand it to a certain extent. And so when I've lived abroad in London, I had a great chance not only to connect with another culture over there, but travel abroad extensively. And in Spain, I mean, I really got the chance to bring music and culture together. And so the people that I met over there, Sal, my collaborator, all of his friends now are my friends. I learned Spanish in the process. And honestly, I think that's one of the most beautiful parts about making music and being an artist, that you can truly live in something that's universal and connect with people all over the world. I've learned how to produce by looking over some very great people's shoulders. And so my production ability has now come from my own experimentation. So I'll start ideas. I mean, it's not that hard to start an idea, with Splice these days. So if I have something, I have a very good ear. So if I have something sonically I want to explore, I'll start to do that. And so, yeah, so I've made some full songs from scratch, all myself. And, I think that's something I definitely want to explore further and go deeper into. I just want to keep being consistent with the music that I'm putting out. And for me, because I love, like I said, I make pop music, but that pop music may come in different forms and different genres that come together. So I have a lot of music that's unreleased right now that I'm excited about. And so my goal and what I plan on doing is to continue to release music that pushes in different directions and sees what connects with people. It's already starting to connect, but my desire is to really see if I can start to move in a direction where, something pops off. It's like the dual desire of, you want to build a fan base, you want to nurture a fan base, you want to grow a fan base slowly and steadily, and then you want to see if you can have one of these songs pop off, because I truly believe that some of the stuff I'm sitting on has the potential to be a hit. You got to make it that. And I know enough now, having released music for 5 years, that things don't just because you have good music doesn't mean it's going to become a hit. And you really have to lay the foundation with a lot of different pieces to give yourself the opportunity for that to happen. And then the kind of like luck and some other things need to factor into it. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm sitting on a lot of good music and I want the world to hear it. And when they do, I think something good could happen. I mean, I think I'm open to either option. I think, artists, but I'll speak for myself. I think I need to this business costs money. There's no doubt about it. I've invested a lot of my personal money in this pursuit, and it's gotten me this far, and it's set up a great foundation. I was fortunate enough to be in the room a couple months ago with a few different major labels, and I had a pretty eye-opening experience for me. So a contact that I had met with a label that everybody would recognize their name. A year prior to that, heard some of my music and was pretty much like, gave me a pretty blasé answer. And then a year later, fast forward, I played him some of the music that I'm sitting on currently, a couple unreleased tracks, and he got out of his seat with a standing ovation. And that, for me, from a validation standpoint, was like, all right, like, first off, opinions are opinions, but second off, now if you're making music that's making people in that position feel a certain way, look, man, anything's possible. And yeah, I think if the right opportunity comes along, to scale what I'm doing right now, yeah, I'd be interested in that kind of partnership for sure. So first and foremost, I trust my ear. So I think I have a good ear. I know I have a good ear, and that's where all this started. So when I started making music, and the product wasn't necessarily the most polished, but if it sounded good to me, I at least knew that it passed a certain ear test to me. Um, you get all sorts of feedback and critiques from people. You learn when you're an artist, you start putting your music in front of everybody, you better be willing to hear whatever they're going to say. And, you put it in front of your dad, and you put it in front of your cousin, and you put it in front of the girl you like, and you put it in front of, somebody important in music or other artists. I think the best people are other artists and other creatives because they truly they know how to give feedback. They're going to give you honest feedback. They know how to give feedback, and they'll give it to you in a way that's constructive. But, an anecdote of something that happened. So I'm sitting on a song right now that I'm very excited about. It was the same song that I just mentioned to you. This major label person was also very excited about. 3 months before that, I was sitting on a listening session with, what's the name of it? Yeah, Venice. It's like a community hub for artists. Like it's you pay per month. It's a community of artists. And they had a listening session where a famous producer came in and listened to 20 artists' music. That you submit your song, and he'll listen to and critique the song. And they went through 20 people's songs, and I was the last person. And I was like, yo, you got in the chat, yo, you're gonna listen to this thing. Dude listens to it and slams it. He didn't slam it. He was just like, oh, I don't get it. What's this song about? Da 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 da. And I left that call and I was like, yo, man, I feel so good about this song. I played it for just about everybody who also feels great about this song. I played it for this producer because he makes music like this, so I thought it might be something good to play him. And he shot on that in front of everybody. And my heart song. And that was one of the first times in a while where I was like, fuck, okay. So, and it just so happened that I called up my producer, and my producer knew the guy I was talking to. He was like, bro, just keep it pushing, man. He didn't even get it. He didn't even get the idea. And I think that point it was useful, where it's sometimes people aren't really listening, or they're hearing what they're trying to hear, and their feedback's going to be their feedback. And ultimately, you got to keep it pushing regardless. I think the hardest part has been balancing all of the different things that an artist has to do to be successful. So when I got into this, I would say I didn't know. I didn't have a blueprint. Nobody I know had done this before. And so I didn't realize there was 20 different job titles attached to being an artist. All the way from just being in a place where you can draw creative inspiration from somewhere and turn it into something, to being somebody that's going to make sure that there's 4 or 5 or 6 social media posts up a week. And I've been lucky to, I've built out a team, and some of my team is here right now, and I'm fortunate for that. But ultimately speaking, that there's so much that needs to get done, and just even in building the right team, you got to be careful with who's on your team, and so really having the right people to help you execute on that. So I would say, yeah, the hardest part is doing it all, or knowing how to build a team and delegate. I think one of my biggest learnings, and this translated from me being in business and running a company, is that an artist really has to move like a CEO. And you have to move like a leader, you have to move like a CEO. Your product is your product, and you have to push it like a business, and you have to bring and lead the people around it, including yourself, that's required to put it forward. And that's it's a huge effort. And so I got a lot of respect for any artist that's out there doing that, because it takes a ton. And you got to keep your mental in check the whole time too, which is, it can ebb and flow, but here we are. Yeah, as an artist, to the point we were making earlier about bringing people and cultures together, I really would like to have my music be able to connect on a level that transcends country or language. Pop music has the chance to do that. Popular music has a chance to do that, but I really want to make music that can affect a lot of people. Yeah, as a person, I want to be remembered as somebody that really put themselves out there, and who's living in my truth, and who's doing so with the ability to connect with people that may be able to learn, evolve, get a window into, what I'm doing, and maybe do it for themselves. And for me, it was a big leap for me to take, to become an artist and put a lot of my traditional life to the side to do this. A lot of people thought I was crazy. They thought the risk was, they didn't get it, whatever it was. But you know, I want people to understand through what I'm doing, and I've been now doing this for 5 years. It's not like it wasn't just like a novel hobby. I've been doing it consistently, and people have been seeing me do that. I want people to know that at a given point in time, if you find something that you're passionate about it and it grabs you, you can go do that, and there's no reason you can't. Yeah, so I just dropped a song called It's On Me. It's a melodic trap song, and it's really a story for me about, I was searching, going through stuff, and I realized the only way I was gonna get through it was if I put it on my own back. So super excited about it, and yeah, we're outside with it. Words of advice would be listen to the future. You know, this platform is about the future, and the voices that are gonna be on here and that are on here all have a point of view and something to say, and they're willing to put themselves out there to do it. So if we listen to the people of the future, then you know, we may get some good ideas worth following.
I love you, 508.